Okay, we're going to continue on. This is part 2 of lesson 6. So we're going to take a look at the using equivalent fractions as another way to see if we can find equivalent rates by using equivalent fractions. So the first way we found was doing a unit rate. This way we are going to be looking at seeing if we can figure out equivalent fractions. So taking a look here, it says determine if the pair of ratios or rates is equivalent. Explain your reasoning. It says three free throws made out of 7 attempts, and we want to know if that's the exact same as 9 free throws out of 14 attempts. So basically what you're going to do is you are trying to get from this 3 to this 9. And how do we get from 3 to 9? By multiplying or dividing. By multiplying by 3. And how do I get from the 7 to the 14 is multiplying by 2. I don't know why I wrote 7. Multiplying by 2. So when I look at this, remember whatever I do to the top, I have to do to the bottom. Whatever I do to the bottom, I have to do to the top. If I'm multiplying by 3 on the top and multiplying by 2 on the bottom, I am not doing the same thing. So therefore, these are not equivalent ratios because I did not do the same to the numerator that I did to the denominator. All right, so let's take a look at the next example on the next page. It says, Selena is comparing the cost of 2 packages of DVDs. A package of 6 DVDs costs $90 and a package of 3 DVDs costs $45. Are these rates equivalent? So we are going to actually use the equivalent fractions to see if we can solve this answer. So we're going to see if these are equivalent or not equivalent. So how do I get from 6 to 3? Well, I am dividing by 2. How do I get from 90 to 45? I divide by 2. Since I did the same thing to the top that I did to the bottom, these rates or these ratios are equivalent because I did the exact same thing. I divided by 2 on both of them. All right, it says, let's take a look at E right here. It says, Miss Jeffries has 12 girls out of 16 students on student council. The Earth Day Committee has 4 girls out of 8 students. Are the ratios equivalent, and explain your reasoning? So we're going to write this as 12 to 16, and we're going to see if they are equal or not equal. And then 8 students, 8 girls, or I'm sorry, oh my goodness, 4 girls out of 8 students. All right, how do I get from here to here? I end up multiplying by 3. And how do I get from 6 to 8 or 16 to 8? I multiply by 2. So are they equivalent? No, they are not equivalent. Not equivalent because we had to multiply by 2 on the bottom and multiply by 3 on the top. We did not do the same thing. All right, let's take a look at these problems right here. We're going to do these together. So you should be doing all of this with me on your paper. It says, determine if the pair of ratios or rates is equivalent and explain your thinking. So taking a look at this first one, it says $24 saved after 3 weeks and $52 saved after 7 weeks. So $24 saved after 7 weeks and then $52 saved after 7 weeks. So I'm going to find a unit rate. I'm going to divide each of these by 7. 7 divided by 7 is 1. 24 divided by 7 is 8. So this one is 8 over 1, which meant I saved $8 per week. Over here, I'm going to divide by 7 because I'm finding that unit rate. And I get up 1. And actually, when I do 52 divided by 7, I get $7.43. So, are these equivalent? No, they are not equivalent. And it's because one of them you saved $8 and the other one you saved $7.43. All right. Let's take a look at the number 2. Number 2 says 270 calories. 270 calories in 3 weeks. Is that the same as 450 calories in 5 servings? I think I said weeks, but I meant servings. Oh, good riddance. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and divide each of these by 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1, and 270 divided by 3 is 90. So 90 calories in 1 serving. To find my unit rate, I'm going to go ahead and divide by 5, and I get 1, and 450 divided by 5 is 90. So yes, those are equivalent. Okay, so with this next one for number 3, what we're going to do is we're actually going to look at comparing the rates together as equivalent fractions. So Micah can do 75 push-ups in 3 minutes, and Eduardo can do 130 push-ups in 5 minutes. Well, how am I going to get from here to here? See, this one is not an easy one to do that, is it? So we are not going to want to try to figure out an equivalent fraction on this. We are going to want to try to get it to a unit rate. Okay, so by looking at this and going 75 times what gives me 130, I mean, it's not going to be a whole number. And 3 times what to get 5 is not going to be a whole number either. So this is when we want to go back and be like, maybe we need to get it to a unit rate. So we're going to do 75 over 3, and we're going to divide these by 3, and I get 25 over 1. So in 1 minute, Eduardo can do 25 push-ups. Or not Eduardo, Micah. Let's see, Eduardo can do 130 push-ups in 5 minutes. So we're going to find that unit rate and divide by 5, which gives me 1, and 130 divided by 5 is 26. So he can do 26 push-ups in 1 minute, whereas Micah does 25 push-ups in 1 minute. So therefore, they are not equivalent because Eduardo can do 1 more per minute than Micah. Okay, let's see if we can do equivalent fractions with this problem. It says a human adult takes about 16 breaths in 60 seconds. So 16 breaths in 60 seconds. And a puppy takes about 8 breaths in 15 seconds. So how do I get from 16 to 8? And how do I get from 60 to 15? Well, I get from 16 to 8 by dividing by 2. And how do I get from 60 divided by what is going to give me 15? I know that I divide it by 4. So I know that these are not equivalent because I did not do the same thing from my numerator that I did with my denominator. So they are not equivalent. All right, here's what's going to happen. If you feel like you understand how to do this, whether by finding the unit rate like we did here, or by finding the equivalent fractions like we practiced up here, you can get started on your homework. Now, if you would like some more practice problems, I'm going to jump over here to the next page, and we're going to take a look at problems 1, 2, and 3. But if you feel like you're ready, stop the video, go to work. And if you're not ready, then let's go ahead and take a look at these. Okay, so I'm going to keep going for those that want to keep moving on and looking at this. So it says, determine if each pair of rates or ratios is equivalent. Explain your reasoning. So $3 for 6 bagels versus $9 for 24 bagels. All right, so I'm going to find the unit rate. I'm going to divide each of these by 6, which is going to give me 1, and 3 divided by 6 is 50 cents. Okay, because 3 divided by 6 is 50 cents. Now here I'm going to divide by 24, and 9 divided by 24 is 38 cents for 1. Now, let's take a look to see if we could, now we know that they're not equivalent, but we could also look at it this way. This was a good one to see what we could do to get from here to here and from here to here. Okay, this is where we can use our equivalent fractions to see. So I know that 3 times 3 is 9, so I'm going to multiply the top by 3. But 6 times 4 equals 24. So they are not going to be equivalent based on the fact that I had to multiply by two different numbers. Because I had to multiply by two different numbers, these are not equivalent. Okay? So I showed it to you as the unit rate, and I showed it to you as equivalent fractions. So taking a look at the next one, $12 for 3 paperback books versus $28 for 7. Let's find a unit rate. Divide it by 3 gives me 4 over 1. So $4 for one book. I'm going to divide both of these by 7, and that's going to give me 4 over 1. So yes, these are equivalent. And the last one, let's take a look. Let's write this one as equivalent fractions. So 3 hours worked for $12. Is that the same as 9 hours worked for 36? How do I get from 9 to 3? By 3 to get to 9, I multiply by 3. 12 times what gives me 36? I multiplied by 3. Since I multiplied by the exact same number, yes, they are equivalent. Yes, they are equivalent. Okay, so there was 3 more examples for you if you needed it. You are done. Go ahead and get started on your homework that you see listed in either Google Classroom or up on the board.